Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you tonight pretty late tonight for an album review. And this is for the third out of the 3 out of 4 albums that I'm going to be reviewing because I just finished the Chevelle Neradius album reviewed earlier today, like kind of this morning today. This is for Kings of Leon's new album, When You See Yourself, the album that I'll be reviewing. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for this album and let you know my thoughts on it. So let's dive into this review. Now, I actually was really surprised with this album. I thought it wasn't going to meet my expectations of being a good album, but it is a good album. I wouldn't call it the best album, but it's worth checking out for sure. It's a good listen. 100,000 People was a pretty strong single. I wouldn't say it's great in any way, but the other songs, they just really surprised me with how well they went in the studio and made these songs. I think Caleb's voice has gotten pretty strong in this album, but I wouldn't call it great, this album, but uh the title track, When You See Yourself, Are You Far Away? That was kind of a really slow, dragged out song. If just to be honest, it felt very long. This album is like 51 and a half minutes, so you're in for a long album, but it is enjoyable. It's a pretty solid listen. A Wave is another song that I started to like. It's grown on me, but I think my favorite songs have got to be Golden Restless Age and Time in Disguise. Those were one of my personal favorites because I just love the melody and I like that guitar riff in Golden Restless Age where it does this little solo. It sounds really cool and I really like that. But yeah, The Bandit is another single. I think it was the first single that came out, and then it was 100,000 People afterwards. And The Bandit is a really good song. It took me some time to grow. It took some time to grow on me, this song, I meant to say. But it's grown on me quite a bit more. Echoing is the last single they released, and then they just released a new single called Stormy Weather. They made a video for it as well. But Stormy Weather is a pretty strong song. I wouldn't call it fantastic, but I gave most of these songs like 4.5 out of 5s. Because Kings of Leon, they're a solid band. I think with what they were going for with this album, it didn't do so bad, but yeah, I don't know what kind of feels this has for an album because Walls was a little experimental at times, but I think they had some of the old sound from Walls. Uh, they were going with some of the Walls kind of sound when they did that album like almost 5 years ago. Which it's been quite a while since a Kings of Leon album. Fairy Tale is the final track to close the album, and it didn't do so bad. But I think my all-time favorites have got to be. I think The Bandit is growing on me to be a favorite. Golden Restless Age and Time in Disguise. Everything else is pretty solid, but I wouldn't call it fantastic. Um, Claire and Eddie is another good song. Uh, and I didn't think I'd like Echoing as much as I thought I would, and I did talk about it just a moment ago. Um, yeah, Echoing is it's grown on me quite a bit more. I wasn't used to the guitar riff taking over the whole song instead of the drums coming in from Nathan or whatever. Uh, but yeah, I think it did all right, Echoing. So I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5 now. My opinion can change in time throughout time as long as I listen to the song, and it just depends on the replay value of the song as well and of the album too, but this is a good album to listen to. So overall, I think Kings of Leon, When You See Yourself, the album, it's a good listen. I really liked it. I wouldn't call it the best album of 2021, but uh, it still had some pretty solid songs. Not the best songs. Most of the songs did get 4.5 out of 5s, and two of them did get 5 out of 5s. And that was in the middle of the album with Time in Disguise and Golden Restless Age. I really like those songs. I'd see myself returning to those songs more than the other ones. And The Bandit is growing on me. It's just their sound is kind of very mellow now, so they're like a mellow rocky-ish kind of band. Mellow alternative rock, I guess you could call them. But first score, I think I'm going to give Kings of Leon, When You See Yourself, an 8 out of 10. So it was a good listen. Highly recommend you guys check it out if you haven't heard it. I know when I reviewed those two albums today, I really dig the Day to Remember album. I wouldn't call it fantastic, but yeah, it was I was a little tired last night doing that album review because I was having bad gum pain in my mouth and it was really bothering me. It really sucked. But yeah, I just wanted to return to you tonight for this review for Kings of Leon, and then tomorrow I'll be doing the Demon Hunter Songs of Death and Resurrection album review. So definitely be on the lookout for that tomorrow. Sorry about that cat meowing. She does that a lot. But I didn't get the chance to talk about Supermarket. The song's a little dull, but at the same time, it's not so bad. But I gave it like a 4.5 out of 5, a 4.5 out of 5, I guess you could say. But comment below. Let me know what you guys thought of the new Kings of Leon album, When You See Yourself, if you've heard it. And if you like this album review I made for you guys tonight, comment below and let me know your thoughts on it. Tap a like on this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you can, support the channel. I was listening to this album again, and I think I was on the song Time in Disguise. I've heard this album maybe about 2 or 3 times, to be honest. And it's enjoyable. I got to listen to it today at work, and then I went back and listened to a little bit of it. I only got to Time in Disguise, so I just had to get this review out so you guys know that I'm not done with YouTube or anything. I just needed a break for a little while. And I was working at the time, so I couldn't come at you sooner for this album review. But yeah, the next album review is going to be tomorrow for Demon Hunters Songs of Death and Resurrection. Yeah, that's what it's called. Songs of Death and Resurrection. But I hope you enjoyed this album review I made for you guys tonight for Kings of Leon, When You See Yourself. I think it's a good listen. I was really surprised. I thought this album wasn't going to be as good as I thought it would be or whatever, but it really surprised me. So I definitely see myself buying this album. But I hope you enjoyed this album review I made for you guys tonight for Kings of Leon, When You See Yourself. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you in my next review.